Hello once again. Welcome to Wednesday afternoon rant about football and many other things. Although the football hooliganism wasn't covered on mainstream media, it was everywhere else on Twitter and Telegram. And the events in France after a football match brings back memories of the heydays of the football hooliganism in Britain. Not a pretty sight. The only difference is this was definitely racially motivated and started a long time before the match was even begun. Now, I've never been a great fan of football since the humiliating incident as a 13-year-old. And suffice it to say that I chopped down the school's goalpost in retaliation for what happened to me, and I paid the price for that. Moving on many years, during the lockdowns pantomime, I called Gary Lineker a four-letter word beginning with C on Twitter for his hypocritical excuse for not wearing a mask when he and all his BBC colleagues knew there was no threat to anybody at all. But he made a pathetic excuse of being old and forgot to put it on. And I was banned from Twitter until I apologised. Well, that ban is still in place. However, just recently, Gary Lineker was sacked for being anti-Semitic, of all things. What did he do? He spoke up against the genocide going on in Gaza, and according to the woke BBC, that was anti-Semitic. And what he said was, and I quote, "If you are silent on Gaza, then you are complicit." End of quote. Now, I admire him for doing that, because apart from his long job on Match of the Day over the years, it appears that the BBC is a very keen defender of Israel and will do anything to protect it, regardless of what is going on there. Now, I don't pretend to know the ins and outs of the Promised Land, but one thing is for sure, in my humble opinion, there are no chosen people, and historically, the land belongs to Palestine. By the way, I'll leave a link to someone who knows much more than I do as to why Gary Lineker was sacked, and I encourage you to look at this link under more, because it's very interesting to see the workings inside the BBC, and it's pretty terrifying, I can assure you of that. And I'll also leave a link to a man called Gabor Maté. He's a Jewish guy, a man of my age whom I have the greatest respect for. And he has a message for the whole world, and I really do encourage you to watch this video. It's not that long. And it's a must-see for anyone with a conscience concerning Israel. And my conclusion to this crazy world we live in is the realisation that we, as humans, are all monsters when it comes to justifying our actions. And justification is simply an excuse for doing what we want. Justifying the genocide in Palestine is no different to justifying the what occurred in Germany, and we all know what happened there. The only difference is that this genocide is being filmed across the world, right across the world wide, and nothing happens. Why is that? Just a rhetorical question, because it appears to turn the other way. The whole world appears to turn the other way and pretends not to see. Would you Would you stand by and watch someone being beaten to death? Sadly, most people today would, because they've been told not to interfere in something that doesn't concern them. And it's a tragic reflection on modern society. And a song from the Stranglers comes to mind. No more heroes anymore. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.